Get ready to meet the legend behind the Legends Barbershop brand. Starting at 14, cutting hair on his cousin's stoep, he turned a humble barbershop into a hair care empire. From pop-up shops to over 70 locations across Southern Africa, his journey is nothing short of extraordinary. He left a stable corporate job to pursue his passion, and now Legends Barber is South Africa's #1 rated barbershop. His innovative spirit and dedication have revolutionized the industry, with hair care products in major retailers like Takealot, Dis-Chem, Spa, and Clicks. Building a 500 million rand plus brand and aiming for $1 billion in sales, his vision is clear: a Legends Barber in every African country. Let's give a huge welcome to the man transforming hair care, the unstoppable Sheldon Tatchell. All right.
What the introduction, Sheldon. I mean, thank you very much for that. Yeah, you took me through a journey right there.
Is all that information still accurate? Is it
it's still there. It's still there.
The
It's still there. I mean, just hearing it is such a reflection, because sometimes you don't actually go through all of these accolades and stuff, and yeah, it's just amazing to hear it. Yeah.
I want to do a bit of a shameless plug before we get into it. You're actually here. One of the reasons you're here is because you recorded the first episode of your podcast today with our CEO, Thomas Pays.
Yes.
Firstly, well done for getting him on your podcast. I haven't got him on this podcast yet. So you got that tick in the box.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Tell us about the Founders Chair. What's the vision for it?
So the Founders Chair, and I mean, when I started the Founders Chair, and it's myself and Ryan that's actually gone into this, and we're saying, you know what, we want to make a difference, and obviously we want to create something that of substance that somebody can actually watch it over and over and say, you know what, this is how this person actually transformed their business, and using a step-by-step process. And what better way to interview founders that has been through the journey and understands it. So it's not for the most, I would say, the most glamorous, but it's for us eager to learn about the next person, you understand? And I think that's exactly what it is about. And if I'm fortunate enough to have Thomas on the first episode, because I've known Thomas for many years, and such inspiration to myself. He's added so much nuggets, and those nuggets actually impacted my life. So you can imagine, if those nuggets impacted my life, how many much more Sheldons and Thomases are out there that we can actually share this type of information with. So I think that's the pure reason as to why we're doing this, and the impact that we want to create.
Nice. And where's it going to be available?
So it's going to be available on YouTube. We are looking at spreading it across Spotify and on iTunes.
One of the interesting things about you that I figured out through our engagements setting up this podcast is I sent you a message. It was probably last week, Friday, and you responded to me at 3 a.m. in the morning. And I thought to myself, is this what it takes to be a super successful entrepreneur like yourself? Talk to me about that. Why was the message sent at 3 a.m.? What were you up to?
I think, you know, when you have a purpose, and when you are striving for something, your purpose is what's wake you up in the morning. And I think that for me, that morning hour call, I don't need assistance to wake up in the morning. Like, I don't need somebody to come scream at me and say, Sheldon, you got to wake up. And it's gotten from 6 o'clock to 5 o'clock to 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock. I don't know where it's going to, but it's been an obsessive, purpose-driven thing. And that's the reason I send you messages, because I feel like, personally, we all have 24 hours in a day. So we're afforded 24 hours in a day. And these 24 hours is our gap to actually make you decide what you want to do with those 24 hours. It's either you can make an impact, it's either you need to grow, or you need to go, or you need to do something of substance, or you can just lean back and just wait for things to happen and be reactive. and procrastinate. And I think that's my thinking behind it. You understand? I feel like there's so much opportunity out there. There's so much for us to learn, to grow out there. And yeah, the next person is coming along and say, Sheldon, I'm knocking on your door, and that's what it is. It is happening, and you always have to be on your toes.
So you're catching up with, well, you're getting ahead of the competitors while they sleep.
Of
That's
course. Of course. The crazy thing is, Shaylin, I used to do boxing and I was a professional boxer. So my dad used to wake me up in the morning. And I can remember I was like maybe 14, 15 years old back then. And I can remember him waking me up with these words saying that, you know what, I see your opponent is running outside. So you better wake up and go run because you have to prepare for the fight that you're going to
Yeah,
fight
you
him
better
on
go catch
Saturday.
him. Yeah.
That's the thing. And that's exactly what it is. Sometimes we think that we are so we we have it all figured out. But if you look at what the next person is doing, you can't want to delay things and just decide, no, I'm just going to sleep another hour. It
Yeah.
doesn't work that way.
So on that same vein, fitness has been part of your journey as well. As you said, professional boxer, that could have been your career path
Yeah.
in some respect as well. It's hard enough starting a business, being an entrepreneur, that constant hustle, driving your business forward, growing it to the success it is today. How do you incorporate the fitness aspect into it, and what has it done for you in your career?
Yeah, no, it's thank you. I think that is such a great question, and the fitness element speaks volumes. In so it's been I think I have taken steps previously, but never actually drastically. You understand? Like I have been playing in between, and like when you do something, sometimes you just go for a run once a week and you're fine, and sometimes you just eat once and you're like, okay, no, it's fine. I have this, but once you start making it your lifestyle and start making it your daily routine, and that's when you decide, you know what, now I'm going to do this and I'm going to go full heartedly. And that's what happened to me. It was basically a year ago, and I took a picture of myself in the mirror, and I'm like, is this really you? Understand? Is this the person that that people who is going to remember you by? You understand? This overweight, big guy that's weighing over. Back then, I was weighing 128 kg. It's a lot. Drinking beer like every second day, and during that time I was like, nah, something has to change. And immediately I just decided, you know what, no more excuses. No more to tell myself, even if I don't feel like it. And I know like it sounds like it's a motivational talk or stuff, but that's exactly what I had to do in order to make those decisions. And I stopped drinking beer right there, and then I stopped eating junk, and I stopped having uh, things that just makes me feel unhealthy,
Yeah.
just makes me feel in a certain way. And I just decided I'm going to take my life seriously, and a year later, lost about over 30 kg and feeling the best shape ever. I mean, I've never ran so many marathons in my life. I actually do like 2 marathons per month, 2 half marathons per month, and looking at
Nice.
doing a couple of marathons coming up, and it's just an insane focus to wanting to be better. And to that point, how does it lead to my life as an entrepreneur? It actually makes me much more mentally fit because now I'm able to sleep better. Because when you're able to sleep better, you can think better. When you wake up in the morning, you're able to do things better. You're able to make rational decisions. You're able to do things that's actually valuable, you understand? And it's not just because of, by the way, now I'm actually to take action and I'm really to get things done. And I think that has been a massive step in my journey.
Have you been able to filter that same kind of mindset and ethos down to your team as well?
Yes. So I have been rallying the team to actually come run with me. So there's few guys from my office. They are they are actually taking on the task. But it's amazing what happens is that if you a type of leader that takes the stand, you start seeing the ripple effect in your team, and you start seeing your team start implementing certain changes in their lives because they look up to you. You are their role model, and this is exactly what took place. And eventually you start seeing guys start coming slowly by surely. Hopefully they will realize that it it's a lifestyle change. And I think in order to embrace this lifestyle change, it has to be constant, constant, constant.
What I found is that you take those steps and you never tend to go back because you know what it was like back then. You know what it's like that now. So even when you are tempted, you know you don't want to be back there.
No, you don't want to. You don't want
When
to.
I was in school, similarly to you, I was
Yeah,
120 kgs,
yeah,
a lot bigger than I am now, and it coincided with me realizing how lazy I was in school
yes,
and that I'm not the person who can't do anything. I just was too lazy to do it.
yes,
And when I started uplifting myself from an academics perspective and a learning perspective, I uplifted myself from a fitness perspective as well. And that's a constant journey, still going on that journey. But you're never going to go back
never
to
do it
where
back.
you were because you know um, what that does to you.
What
And
it
as you
does to
say,
you.
mentally, physically, being sharp, getting that sleep, it's always so important.
And everything coincides. So if you look at yourself, if you look at what it does for you holistically, you understand you feel a certain way that your body reacts to certain things differently. Whereas if you were bulky and overweight and you don't feel like doing certain things and not feeling a certain way, you tend to react differently. You understand? So everything coincides.
Yeah. We've got a similar culture. I mean, you know
Yes.
Thomas, and you know how driven he is, and it's also a real passion for him, the fitness journey,
Mm.
and constantly pushing himself. And I think that's something that you guys as entrepreneurs have
Yeah.
in common, and that's a driver, right? It's
Yeah.
constantly pushing yourself. Like you said, you're not just trying to get fit; you want to do the half marathons, you want to do the marathons. I'm
Yeah.
guessing there's an Iron Man in your future as
Yeah.
well, right?
Yeah.
Have you started
Yeah,
thinking
yeah,
about
no,
that?
definitely, definitely, it's definitely up there. And I mean, like, I've actually been down to the comrades this year, and I made it one of my bucket lists that next year I'm definitely doing the comrades. But you do these things, and now you start looking at it's small chips on your shoulders, and it's like, you know what, if I'm able to do this, if I'm able to run a half a marathon under 2 hours, if I'm able to do it in 1:45, if I'm able to, you understand. So now you actually testing your body, and you actually pushing your body to the limit to say, you know what, it is possible. And looking at spot on with Thomas, because Thomas is exactly that type of guy. He's like, he's willing to, doesn't matter what happens in the morning. So he wakes up in the morning, he gets himself to gym, and from gym, he does school drop-offs. And it becomes that whole routine that you're able to invest it in your lifestyle, and it becomes the norm.
Do you feel the pressure or the responsibility within the position you're in to inspire those around you? So do you think about that when maybe there is a moment where you're like, I don't want to get up today. I don't want to go to gym, but you've got so many people looking to you. Do you feel that pressure?
Yeah, of course, of course. I mean, like, Sheldon, just to give you background, is that I come from a community, and I'm not sure if you viewers know El Dorado Park. So El Dorado Park is a gangsterism community, and there's a lot of activity that's taking place in that community. And and when I visited the community, I actually visited 2 weeks ago, and I went there, and so so the council actually came and he wanted to show me something, and he took me to a painting that a local artist actually drew of me on the wall, and he threw this painting of me on the wall, and I was like s- so taken back by it, because I'm like, you know, this is what you actually mean for the community. You are actually a testimony of what can happen from that particular community. And if and, I mean, like that for me just touched me deeply because you understand the type of responsibility that you have, not only for your company, for your organization, but now for the broader spectrum of people that's coming out of that community and the different other communities at large. You understand that there's so much for you to actually do to inspire. So there's definitely pressure, there's definitely that, but I take it always in a positive way that, you know, somebody's looking up to you and somebody is rooting for you, somebody is wanting you to succeed, somebody really wants to see how far you can take this thing, you understand? And if you are able to inspire the next Sheldon of our generation, the person that's coming from a poverty stricken home, that's coming from not having anything to eat some days, and you coming from this background and you're able to succeed and being able to help and impact so many people's lives along the journey. I mean, that for me is just, it's pressure, but I feel that you tend to take it in a different light now because now you're doing it for people. And once you start doing things for people, it goes beyond yourself.
Can you tell us a little bit about your foundational years? So, young Sheldon growing up in El Dorado Park. What was that like? And what were you like as a kid?
So yeah, so I can remember growing up in Yellow Park. I was the inquisitive one. I was very inquisitive as a kid and never took. I mean, I wasn't the most knowledgeable. I was the guy that used to always look at the different perspective, contrary to what everyone sees. Like I wasn't an A student. I wasn't a B student. It wasn't part of who I
The
was.
entrepreneurs generally aren't.
No, we're
Eh?
not.
Yeah.
And for me, growing up, can I share with you one particular story? Is that my I used to get this penning, so I used to get like 2 rand penning every day, and got my spending for. I managed to save it up for 10 days. So each and every day I had a money box, and this was at the age of 12 years old. I had a money box, saved it up, and gathered about $20. And with that $20, I actually went out to the cash and carry and went to go buy a box of ice cream. And the box of ice cream had 20 ice creams in it. So it's 20 ice creams. So you have like 20 units in this box, and came home, decided to sell it, and went door to door saying, "No, I'm selling this ice cream, it's 2 in 1." And people started buying. And I I didn't know what I was doing. I was just trying to flip and just trying to do something in the circumstances that I'm in. And I start seeing this thing start taking off. And I'm like, people are actually buying it. And I landed up with $40 and went back to the cash and carry, went to go buy 2 boxes and came back, and this thing grew during that time, Shaylin. Obviously it was summer. Eventually it grew to a point where I had somebody during break time. Imagine I'm in school.
I was
So I
going to
had
ask.
somebody
You
in
have
break time.
employees.
No, I had somebody in break time. So then I made a deal with this person. I said, you know what, if you're able to sell X amount of ice cream, I'm able to give you X amount. And all that I just need you to do is to break time, please come with a box of ice cream, come stand here at this particular location. I will be here just to monitor and make sure everything runs properly. But that was I didn't know what I was doing, but that was my way of actually trying to create funds. And I had many memories like that where flipping things was just a norm for me. I mean, from this one moment where my dad came home and he was like, he used to work at the factory that manufactures hair products. Came home and he was like, my son, here's few hair products. Just brought like a couple of them. It was relaxers. And just shared it with me and said, just go try this. I don't know what you want to do with this. And it's like a few of them. So I took these products and I was like, okay, where is the nearest salons? And there was 3 salons that I approached. 2 agreed. And I made a deal with them. I told them, guys, you can take these products if you like them, I can fetch money coming every month. It's like a consignment arrangement. And at that age, you're like, you know what, you don't know what you're doing, but hopefully things work out. And if you don't like the product, I can just come uplift it. And that was the first month. Towards the end of the month, I can remember going out to this one particular salon. They gave me cash. It was over $300. I took that money for the first time ever. I was able to buy me All-Star sneakers, and I was like, "This is All-Star sneakers," and I was like so happy. You understand? But yeah, some memories that I'm like so fond of, and just being able to be such inquisitive kid, thinking about opportunity as different as other kids would.
So you had that entrepreneurial bug from the very beginning. That was a question I wanted to ask you was when you're growing up in that environment, your parents are thinking success for you is being a doctor. Well, your parents are maybe a boxer, external people, a
Yeah.
doctor or something like that. I think you mentioned that before to me. But you had this entrepreneurial bug. Was it always there? And did you always know that that was going to be the path that you went on?
Like you don't actually know it. You understand? It's and I mean like at the age of your teenage years, it's not something that you can outright say that you're going to become and you're going to do this for the rest of your life. For me, it was the moment when I started cutting hair and I can remember mm, transcending from selling these products and these items to now selling my time because hair is like selling your time. You buy in clippers. Clippers is $200 and you can service as many people as possible in a day. So that is pure profit. That's my whole thinking around that time, you understand? So I might as well focus on this. And this became a journey for me where I'm like, you know, I'm charging $10, $15 a haircut, and things are gradually, people are willing to come back week in, week out. And people actually noticing it, you understand? But never to my wildest dreams would I think that entrepreneurship would be the path that I would take.
You ended up going into corporate for a while. How was that experience for you? And do you think that it was beneficial for you to have that time in corporate?
Yeah. So yeah, the story. So I matriculated from school, and I can remember having few options, and my parents never had funds for me to go study further. I then A friend of mine invited me to come steal cars with him because that's what he was doing. And my aunt called me and she was like, there's this agency that's actually hiring guys to go work in the bank. I was like, okay, maybe I must just go for that because I can't be doing the latter. And I was like, okay, can I do that and can I see where this takes me? I then worked in corporate, and corporate opened my eyes to a different way of thinking. As you know, that I come from a community in the Alvarado Park. We don't get exposed to the type of numbers that you see on systems, and you don't get exposed to the type of things that you experience within a corporate environment, the type of discipline, the type of things that you need to implement. And during that time, I've learned so much. And I think it was a blessing in disguise for me that I actually went to corporate because my takings from that particular job. So just to give you background, Shaylin, that I was a call center agent, and I was working in outbound, and my job was to actually call people, and I had a target of 40 odd people to call in a day, 40, 50 odd
Just
people to call.
upselling.
Just basically. So I used to do collections.
Okay.
I used to do collections, and I used to call you and tell you that your account is in arrears. Please pay up. And that was my job. Crazy, crazy. That the taking from that was now when I realize it, and it's like that actually taught me so much because how many people said no? How many people told me, you know what, I can't accept your call now? How many people saw at me? How many people told me off? But I still went, going, knocking, calling, constantly, constantly, constantly. And I think that's exactly my biggest thing right now. If I'm able to call 50, 40, 50, 60 calls in a day, and if I implement that in what I do today, uh, that's exactly what I think entrepreneurship is about, because you're always knocking, you're always exploring, you're always calling, you're always trying to figure out what's the next thing, what's the next thing, what's the next thing, and not waiting for things to come to you, but actually going out of your comfort zone and picking up the call and saying, you know what, I'm going to get the sale whether you like it or not.
Yeah. And did you have quite a good conversion rate?
Yes, I was actually. I've actually top collections agent
Oh wow.
for a number of years. I mean, like,
Did
I
you find the
mean,
right formula? Were you just a really engaging person on the call? What was the,
what
the
was the thing?
formula that got those sales over the line?
Yeah, no, I mean, I was a different character. I, I was one of those guys that could blend in with the customer, and I think most of the time we as human beings, we, especially when you get the call from somebody that you don't know. But now imagine I'm calling you and I'm speaking your language, I'm speaking the way you want me to speak.
Yeah.
I am relating with what you want me to relate, and I don't sound like a robot. And I think that's what most people sound like these days. And 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 I'm doing these things, and people feel, you know what, I'm actually feeling attached to this guy. So I
Yeah.
can actually trust this guy. Not that this guy is just doing a job. This guy is actually doing something. And now the trustworthiness of that call is actually heightened. And when you ask that person to actually make that sale, or basically pay his account, it won't be a problem.
Relatability.
Yes.
So you carried that through to when you started your barbershop, Legends Barber. So when you had your, I think you referred to it as almost like a pop up on your cousin's stoop, and you said one of the things that you implemented is you wanted to create a relationship with the customer. So when they would visit you, you would have a notebook and you would take notes of the conversation that you had so that you could pick it up the next time.
Yes.
My question to you when I listened to that is, how did you know they were going to come back? And what was your, why did you want to create a relationship with the customer?
So so taking it back to the job. So on So after every call, and this is what you are trained to do. So after every call, you train to actually take notes of the person. So next time it pops up on your screen, you can actually delve deep into what the person said previously. And I think that's one of the reasons. Uh, and uh, but majority of it was trying to be as rememberable as possible and trying to build that relationship to the core. Because one thing that is so hard to come by is solid relationships. And if you're able to build a solid relationship with somebody, especially somebody that has a blade to your neck, that specific thing is so vital. And 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 with that relationships, you become the trusted person. So anything that that person says, doesn't matter what it is, that person will believe you. That person will be able to say, you know what, this guy's telling the truth. So if I'm cutting your hair today and I'm telling you, Sheldon, this is the type of product to use for your hair, there's going to be credibility behind it because of the relationship that we have.
And we touched on culture initially, and I want to come back to that. So how did you maintain that throughout 70 plus Legends Barbershops currently?
Yeah.
How do your people and your employees and your franchisees still maintain that same level of connection with the customers?
It boils down to who and what. Who being the type of person that we hire, the type of individual that that has the right specific attitude, and the person that is easily adaptable to the environment. What are we achieving? What are we doing here? And understanding your what and your why is your last. That will be the thing that will get you over the line. So culture for us is really big in Legends, and and our culture stems from our beliefs. And I don't know if you noticed that when we open the shop in the morning, the guys would get together and pray in the morning. It's it, it's something that we have implemented from the training center. And at the training center, we actually uh, take guys from different backgrounds, different communities, and these guys come into the center and they need some sort of foundation that they can all feel sane. And we take them through Bible study. We change the way they look at things differently to actually so they can realize that whatever whatever they do is not for themselves, it's actually for the higher purpose. And once you understand that higher purpose and you're part of this organization, you understand that you're actually doing it for the one above. And everything stems from that. And and this is the reason why Legends in in the different stores and in the different locations tend to succeed in different ways possible, despite the community, because now you tend to do things not for yourself. You tend to wake up in the morning and you realize that, you know what, I'm actually doing it for God. You understand? I'm actually doing this for for God that gives me grace to actually wake up in the morning, and now the customer becomes the person that I'm serving, but everything I do is for him. And that's part of our culture. That's the why that we do what we do.
When you look at businesses these days and you listen to podcasts and you read about highly successful businesses, and you talk to the founders, they often come in and with they saw a gap in the market. They did a lot of market research before they took on that opportunity, and they grew the business from there. You didn't do any of that initially, right? Yours was based on a passion that you had for what you did, and you grew it from there.
Yeah.
So I've got a few numbers here, and just to qualify where we're going to get to with the question, but in terms of the personal care market in South Africa and Africa, the numbers are staggering, and you didn't know that initially, right? Or you didn't know where it was going to get to. But just to reference some of them, so between 2021 and 2025, the personal care market in Africa is projected to grow by $1.26 billion, and for South Africa to contribute 51% of that growth. So that market's huge.
It's huge.
More specifically, the South African hair care market size is estimated at 496 million US dollars in 2024 and is expected to reach 669 million by 2029. So it's a highly qualified market. So what is your feeling about that, and where's the opportunity there for Legends?
I feel excited. I feel excited because that means, for example, that we have not reached our ceiling. We have not reached the market. We have not dominated the market yet. You understand? Although Legends is so well known, although Legends is a household name with its brand to the youngsters, we feel that the opportunities still lie out there, and for us to actually go through those figures shows you that there is phenomenal growth in our sector. And I'm looking forward to being a big contributor in that, and with our team just being able to grow not only Legends but also obviously other projects as well in this hair care market.
I want to jump onto that topic of the brand that you've built. No other barbershop in South Africa has been able to build the brand that Legends has built. And it has this incredible following in South Africa, unlike anything you've seen, where you have celebrities literally saying they'll only get their hair cut at a Legends Barber. You've got celebrities who've invested in terms of buying a franchise.
Mm.
What is Legends USP?
Yeah, it's powerful. I think I think the unique selling proposition for Legends has grown throughout the years. I think back then when we started out, it was just providing quality haircuts. It was just providing the quality service and building that customer relationship. And what actually took place as time went on, we saw an opportunity to produce products, and we saw opportunity to franchise, and people start liking this brand as much. And it's much more about the talkability around the brand. And then it became a point where each and every celebrity wants to be associated with the brand. Now you see that our very first franchisee was a guy by the name of Ricky Rick, and I've had such a good relationship with him, and he was the person that would come up with great ideas in terms of marketing, in terms of branding and stuff. But such a humble guy, and people could relate. You understand? It's that relatability that we had to the customer. There's many things that I see that Legends has done over the years that people can say now because of they do a lot of give back initiatives. They do a lot of social initiatives. They're out here, they're out here. But I think major than anything else, it boils down to the impact. And once you realize that people support the impact initiatives that you have, and when I talk about impact, it's 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 purely because of the guys that's actually working in the store are from a community that they actually support. And if you look at those guys that that came in before then, they never had any hope. So now they came to Legends and like, you know what, I actually want to be part of this business, but I go to the training center and I'm getting free training, upskilling me to become a barber. Uh, I'm able to get a skill that I'm going to have for the rest of my life, and maybe one day, who knows, own a franchise or become uh, or or maybe have my own barbershop, whatever it is. But that's the hope that you instill in these people, and now you start rallying a whole community behind you, and not only a community like Eldorado Park. There's so many other communities that start rallying behind the dream, the purpose of Legends, and then it becomes much greater than what Sheldon dictates. It becomes much greater than now you're looking at. Like it's crazy that I was looking at the numbers, and just yesterday we've seen that the the social media following has grown to over 1 million on Facebook, 1 million on Instagram, and I'm like, you know, it's become such a rapid thing where people organically just love to be part of the brand. And whether you're looking at the celebrities that actually endorse the brand, their own, you understand, people who just go into shops and just take videos and pictures of them being in a store. It 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 boils down to the impact, and that for me is something that I stand by. I don't know how other people feel, but I think it's the once you're able to impact the livelihoods of people, then then you fulfilled your purpose, and that's the reason why we are here. We are just stewards of this thing, and eventually it's going to live beyond us.
How much strategy was behind that? So was there you spoke about how the brand has grown, millions of followers. Was that like on your 5, 10 year roadmap, or was it really as organic as it seems from this conversation?
Yeah, I think sometimes you plan certain things and you put strategic things in place, and you say, you know what, this is where you want to be at a certain time period. This is how many, like, let's take social media, for example. You want X amount of following by X amount of time. And and you do these things, but you sometimes it doesn't actually work out according to plan. You understand? Sometimes the plan that you maybe put in could be something that is totally different from what it actually gets to the people. Like for example, talking about social media, we've only started seeing growth in the last 5 years. You understand, where you can see like massive growth, people actually engaging with us, people actually talking, and it becomes the talkability. So it I would say, to your point, Sheldon, it's hard to actually predict it. You understand? It's hard to predict that people are going to love your brand as much, to to embrace it as much as you do. There's not much strat that goes into. Although there's a simple things that you need to put into place, like your customer service needs to be on point. Your the person that you have at your store, whatever you do from a systems point of view, in order to make sure that customer leaves happy and becomes an advocate for your brand, those things are vital. And those things need to be second to none.
That's a very interesting point. A lot of big businesses and brands want to grow their following on digital channels, but it has to come from the product first, or the service. It needs to be led by what the core of the business is. And if you have something that's of value to the customer and
Yes.
to the people that you're serving, it's relatable to them, and then you'll naturally grow that following.
And that's exactly what it is. Because if you think about, once you are able to have so many advocates talking about your product, your service to the communities, then it starts to spread. You understand, and then you are able to impact so many people's lives. Now people are talking about your product, your service, and now what you're actually offering to the public becomes so huge, and it becomes beyond your wildest imagination, but you're sticking to the basics. And that's exactly what it is. Once you're able to stick to what you've been doing, what got you here actually could actually take you further if you just ensure that that is the main thing, and you just prioritize your core, which I feel like most of the time as entrepreneurs we tend to forget, what is our core, what is the thing that actually brought us this far. And there's a saying that maybe says that what took you won't actually take you there. It's true in a different respect, but if you look at, if you're able to evolve as your customer evolves, if you're able to provide services and upscale your your level of service to that particular customer back then you are definitely able to win much more. Because that's the thing. If somebody comes into your store today and you're able to give that person a particular service, if that person comes back the next time and you're able to take them on a whole new level, understand, that person will even be a much bigger champion of you and talking about what you actually do. And it's crazy we're talking about this because I was on an interview this morning. So I was on an interview on one of the radio stations. And while I was on the interview, a lady called in and she was like, I go to this particular store, and every time I go there, I just seem to be amazed. I just seem to get the experience, the type of love that these guys actually have for my hair. And she's a lady that actually cuts hair. And once you hear this type of feedback, these reviews, I mean, that's exactly where you want to be as a business. You don't want to be known for not pursuing your core. Your core still has to be the vital thing that you offer.
What do you think people want in terms of the service that you offer? When people come into a Legends Barbershop, you, based on the example you just gave me, of this lady having a great experience, consistency is key. They get the result that they're looking for. I mean, hair, cutting people's hair, the styling, it's a big
Yeah.
responsibility.
Yes,
So what do people really want, and how have you delivered that?
exactly to what you said, consistency. If you go into McDonald's, let's take a McDonald's for example, doesn't matter where it is in the world, you are bound to experience the same service, same consistent product. And if you're able to deliver that same consistent product, guess what? You become a y- people expect that of you now. You understand? So now people are like, this person's brand is built on this expectation that they have from the public. So now people expect this of you. So for example, as legends, if people are not getting a certain service, they will be able to tell you, no, I'm not getting this. I'm not getting that's what I'm used of, because I know that with other legends, I have been experiencing a certain type of product. And once you're able to reach that expectation constantly, and then you are delivering a happy customer.
The interesting thing about this market is it doesn't seem like it's a race to the bottom in terms of price. You get, you can correct me if I'm wrong here,
Yeah,
but you get the individuals who are willing to pay for a premium service, and you get people who don't need that and they're happy to not spend that level of money. Is that the way the industry works? And where does Legends fall in within that kind of price sensitivity?
yeah. So I would say Legends is a aspirational brand. Um, Most of the time, when people go into Legends, you bound to see them take pictures, share with their friends, and it becomes much more of, I've been to Legends. People actually, where did you get your cut? No, you can see it's a Legends cut, and it's much more aspirational. But in terms of price point, Legends is not affordable like as to the person that's cutting it on the street. So if you look at the haircuts that's currently going on the street, that's about $50, maybe 40, $60,
Yeah,
$80. So Legends entry price is 170, and which is if you look at where the stores are located, and if you
yeah,
look at the type of environment that you get your cut in,
that's
if
reasonable.
you look at
Mm,
the the person that's cutting you is actually a accredited barber. If you look at all of these things that contributes to that 170, then it actually tells you that it's actually quite affordable to a certain group of people, not to
yes,
everyone. You understand? Because if you look at it, unfortunately, there is a big gap in terms of the 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 poor majority, and you see that when I visit communities and I engage with barbers, and they telling me that they're struggling to push their prices up from $50 to $60, they're struggling, and once they start adding extra services, you end up finding people start complaining. So price point is definitely a factor in our industry, but once you're able to sell up your service, you are able to tap into different areas of your sector. Like for example, uh, now what we're doing in our stores, we actually get. You can actually go into a Legend store and get the manicure, for example. You can get the facial, you can get waxing, you can get. You understand? So now the market has evolved, and if you look at that type of market that we're looking towards penetrating becomes much more bigger, because now if you like many years ago, for guys to actually go into a barbershop to get their nails, it was, what are you doing? You understand? It's like now it becomes a norm. Now people look at your nails and like, no, this is not. You understand what I'm
yeah.
saying? It does become a thing, and that's exactly where we're going to as an industry, which is really exciting to see. And I feel like us as one of the leading barbershops within this industry are tapping into those spaces and providing those services, and eventually be able to make an impact on so many people as to come.
So on the back of that, innovation is at the core of the Legends brand and what you do, right? So you've been able to move on. I mean, you mentioned earlier you're
Yes.
a retired barber now, right? So you're at head office and you're moving around and you're driving that level of innovation with your team. And you've done some really ambitious things, some really bold things, right? The Legends hair care line,
Mm,
as an example, right?
yes.
Um, what is the formula for innovation within your business from a personal perspective and also how you drive that through your team?
I would say it stems from the problems that we face. If you look at the problems that we've been facing, especially with our hair care market, our products that we deliver into to our to our customers, customers would walk into a store and request a certain style. How do I style my hair in a certain way? And we weren't able to answer those type of questions until we done some research and we said, "Oh, okay, wait, maybe here's something that we could possibly put together, and we introduce a wave product that could actually produce waves on your hair." You understand? So always looking at what problem are you solving? What's the one thing that the customer is asking, the customer is picking up? Because if you're solving a problem for nobody, it doesn't make sense. Doesn't benefit anyone. But if your problem is solved, but if you're solving a problem for people that's out there, it definitely makes a huge difference to their lives. And if we're able to take that lead within the market, then we would love to be known for that.
We mentioned Legends hair care products were born out of that innovative approach. But some people would call you crazy for taking on massive FMCG brands, P&G,
Yes,
Johnson and Johnson, in terms of entering this market.
yes,
And you've been able to penetrate it successfully. The products are available on Take a Lot, Discam, Spa, I believe, as
yes.
well.
Clicks as well.
Clicks now as
Yes,
well. So
yes.
it really has
Malcolm's
grown.
as well.
You said previously it is successful.
Yeah. No.
So what within you, this is more of a personal question, decided, all right, cool, I'm gonna get into this business now?
Yeah, it's I think it's just the crazy ones to always try something new, and just wanting to explore. And I feel like I had this conversation with Thomas, and I'm like, every time I try to do something, there's these butterflies that come, and it's like, I need to do this, but what if, you understand? Okay, what if I don't do it? What if I do it and it succeeds? So it's always this what if, but you are in between a risk reward. Like there's products that we've done that has failed. There's products that we have done that hasn't taken off as we intended. And and it doesn't help you shoving it down the customer when they not adaptable to that specific product. So it is definitely trying to stretch boundaries, trying to grow beyond your means, trying to see how can you reinvent the wheel in a certain way.
We've spoken about the hair care line. Now
Yes,
you've diversified again, and it's even you've separated this from the Legends brand as well, which we spoke about earlier. Talk to
yes,
us about the clippers and
yes.
why you've brought that to market.
So a couple of years ago, about 3 odd years ago, I've engaged with a lot of barbershops and spoken to them, and obviously they look up to Sheldon as the guy that actually made it happen. You understand? They look up to, and they say, what, Sheldon, please, can you help us with this one thing? We are paying 3,000, 4,000 rand for cordless clippers, and it, although we need it as much, it is eating into our bottom line. You understand? And okay, so I went to the drawing board and I was like, there has to be a problem solving mechanism for this. You understand? There has to be a way that I'm able to contribute for this. And how am I able to make a change within the barbering industry? Because it obviously it's tied separate to what we're doing. It's not the same. It's totally, although it's along the lines. I then decided to do some research and go into the manufacturing of making our own clipper range. And this was a journey of back and forth with the manufacturers. I've actually been to this factory so many times and just trying to figure out the type of quality that we need, the type of blades, how long the clipper must last, the type of motor that's in the clipper. That's actually me putting it piece by piece together and say, this is this is the type of product that is suitable for our market, which is South Africa, because our hair from the European hair is totally different. So you can't just bring a product from Europe and decide, this will just be fine for the African market. And that's exactly our motive behind it is to see how can we empower our barbers with a first and foremost a clipper that can last as long as 3 hours plus, a clipper that is of the highest quality, and also the last thing, which is affordable, which is half the price as the cordless clipper that's out there, and which is actually much better in terms of performance, the blades, uh, and these are the things that I've actually been working on in the background. And so the reason I started this, it's much more of a impact project. You understand? I'm like, if I'm able to help the next generation of barbers through bettering equipment, and the profits of this company actually is going to filter towards me giving back the same clippers to the barber that's actually struggling on the side of the road, that's cutting hair under the tree.
Yeah.
If I'm able to do that, you understand? Uh, I mean, I'm sorted with Legends, but this is just a impact project that I'm venturing to, and I see it as being one of the major steps in the right direction for me personally. It's just to help the barbers in need, and that's where the Fade company comes about. So it's called Fade with FX.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the X in the A, and yeah, so we launched the company about a week and a half ago. In our first week, we managed to sell off 300 clippers to local barbers, and that was phenomenal. I never knew. Like I never knew that barbers would really latch onto it as much, because there's, like I said, the reason why I separated the two brands, because I didn't want it to be specifically a Legends product, because the Fate company needs to speak towards the barber language, and it needs to speak towards what the barber needs are, and I feel like Legends is much more B2C, whereas this is B2B. And yeah, I'm just excited for this journey. I think that it's going to have such a bigger impact. The major brands that's out there has been complacent, to say the least. They haven't been able to cater for the local needs of our specific barbers, and for us, we see it as the opportunity.
And where do you think this opportunity is going to take you? What's the big, hairy, audacious goal with Fade?
So the big area audacious goal is to, and I'm going to say this, is that it becomes the household name in South Africa, bigger than WOW has ever been. And it's the first time I'm saying this, but that's how big of uh, ambition is this for me, you understand? Because I feel that if we're able to bring this home, it's a local product, it's where it is, and we are able to become the the massive company by just empowering and helping barbers. That's that's all that we want to do. You understand? It's not for the the profits, the whole thing. It's much more of a social project that I'm venturing to.
I want to move on to the topic of your individual, your growth journey and your individual barbershops, the franchises and the ones that Legends Barber owns.
Mm.
There's a certain energy and vibe that you say is inherent throughout. They're all a little bit different, but there's that same energy throughout. In terms of the people. You say you work with the best people and you hire based on attitude. I'm very interested in that point. Is attitude at the top of your list when you're hiring people? And how do you balance that attitude and having the right attitude and people who have the right skill set and in terms
Yeah.
of bringing them into your business?
Yeah. So especially when it comes to barbering, I think uh we base attitude based on A players. So if you are A player and you have the attitude and willingness to learn, we see you as enthusiastic enough to be part of this organization because you need to have that type of charisma within you to want to grow. And most of the time, you'll find that people won't have that specific attitude. Although they want to be part of the organization, they won't have the attitude to learn. And it's a constant learning environment. If you look at the things that we're bringing out, for example, we upskilling our barbers constantly. It's not a matter of just a once off, like you can cut hair and now you're done. There's constant training that's happening, and if you have the attitude to say, "No, I'm fine. I've made it. I am a barber. I know the basics. I know what to do," then it's not going to work out for you because even Sheldon today doesn't know anything, doesn't know everything. Sheldon is still learning. Sheldon is still growing in certain leaps and bounds. And you have to be able to have that attitude because, like Sheldon, it's not the skill set is one thing, but if you're obsessed with learning, growing, and having a positive attitude, makes a huge difference within your journey.
On mentorship, you you mentioned off camera that this is something that's fundamental to your growth. You referenced Thomas as a friend and a mentor to
Mm.
you. He's helped you along that growth journey. How important is mentorship for growth in terms of entrepreneurship, building that community around you? What do you have to say about the impact of these people on your growth?
I think just tremendous because you are able to separate yourself from the environment that you're in, and you're able to grasp from these guys and gleaning from them, being able to get the type of advice that from somebody that has been through it, that knows about it, and is able to actually share that knowledge with you is much better than what somebody what you were able to get at university because now you hearing it from the horse's mouth, you hearing it from somebody that has been there. And I think for me that's the most valuable information. If you can sit down with somebody, if you can have a one-on-one with somebody that has been there, I mean, it's so valuable. It's so impactful. And with Thomas as well. I mean, I don't know if you share the story, but I approached him this one day and I had this conversation with him. So back then I had one store. And during that time, I then approached him with this idea because I know Thomas is a tech guru. And I approached him with this idea and I was like, Thomas, what do you think about this idea? And this idea is a trolley and it does all of these things. And I explained to him this whole thing. I was like, it's a good idea. It's a good idea. And I'm like, you know what? I'm thinking of doing it. And he looked at me and he was like, why? He says, no, I want to solve this problem. And I'm like, and he was like, are you going to put so much effort into this where your business actually lacks? Are you passionate about this? Are you willing to sacrifice this for that? And he started asking me so valuable questions that I actually stopped and said, you know what, it's not worth it. I'd rather just focus on this one thing. And he ended up saying that, you know, in a few years' time, you'll be looking back and you don't want to waste your time on something that might or might have worked or isn't your passion. Just focus on this one thing and make it work to its fullest. And that's exactly what mentorship is, having the right people in your corner that will orchestrate you and make certain decisions because they're able to tell you the truth. They're able to tell you exactly how it is. They're able to share that type of advice with you to say, no, this is where you're going wrong. Come I bring you back on track, and this is what you need to focus on. which makes such a huge difference in your work.
What are some of the key lessons that you've learned from the mentors in your life?
Ooh, key lessons. Key lessons. Oh,
One of the mentors has just
one of the
arrived.
mentors.
So we mentioned that Thomas is going to join us for a few minutes. Thomas, please step in, have a seat on the couch.
You're looking good, bro.
Yes. Looking
Wow.
good.
We're actually saying when we started, we were speaking
Yeah.
about his podcast, which you just took part in.
You can actually see
And
the impact of the podcast. Yes, indeed.
and I congratulated him because he managed to get you on his podcast, and I haven't managed to get you on this one yet. And
it takes a legend to make that happen. And who better than
the
Sheldon
pipe.
to do that?
But you're looking good. How do you feel about it?
Look, yeah, I'll tell you after I see my wife tonight and see her reaction. But I think the legend did his job, especially for a retired barber.
Yeah,
by the way,
especially for a retired barber.
you haven't lost your touch.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I was worried. Yeah,
Oh,
I was worried. I was
okay,
really
good.
worried.
Good.
So, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you still have the touch.
Yes,
That's the most important point.
That's important. Yeah.
Entered at the perfect time because we were on the topic of mentorship, and Sheldon was speaking about the role that you've played in his journey up until this point.
Yeah.
And he just closed off by talking about giving us that example of the time he came and pitched an idea to you in your office, and you gave him some very honest feedback about the direction he was taking. What have you learned from Sheldon, and what did you see in him when he was getting a bit of that coaching and mentoring from you?
Look, I think the first one is like you always get inspired by like-minded people that share the same grit, people that share the same passion. And one thing that we definitely have in common with Sheldon is that grit towards hard work, but more importantly, impact that we want to have. I remember coming to his barbershop in the middle of a township with my son on Father's Day, driving out of Sandton, and then all of a sudden arriving in that area. And I was inspired because literally you've got someone that believes in himself, believe he can drive the change, and backs himself to the point that look at the compounding effect 10 years later, where you have a Legend Barbershop in almost every city in South Africa, and look at the hundreds and hundreds. I think you were talking about 650 people
yeah.
that basically now have a role and a job that in the communities they can inspire people, but more importantly can feed families. And I think like coming back to one of the things that inspired me the most about Sheldon is, first of all, the energy you have is what's going to attract others. The way you compose yourself is what's going to attract or detract people. And we got to basically go through Branson Center together at one stage where we met Richard Branson, and we had some really amazing mentors coaching us. And through all those classes, weeks after weeks and months after months of going there with Sheldon, which was quite demanding.
Yeah.
I mean, we still have a full-time job at the same time. It was inspiring to see the impact that it could have around his aura and energy. I initially put it on him being a barber. That's his job. But if you look at it, he was genuine and authentic in having an impact, shave by shave, haircut by haircut, with every single person that he was engaging with. And what resonated the most with me is I'm a big introvert. That's why you won't see me on this podcast normally. And I really related and started echoing. And I'm like, if he's willing to do this, and this is the impact it has on people, but more importantly, the people that he gets to attract and change their life and inspire them, then surely I can start learning and practicing it and also get better at it. Not get to his level because I think he's got a decade of practice. But yeah, ultimately, but there's just so much, and we'll speak for hours about it, especially when we've shared basically 10 years of our life together. But yeah, truly inspiring story, yeah?
10 years.
Yeah.
Amazing.
You guys had
Yeah.
a moment earlier where you spoke to each other. You realized that Sheldon was now in YPO as well,
Mhm.
and
Yes.
you looked like a proud brother when looking at him. And how does it feel to look at each other? You walking into the Ozo offices, the new Ozo offices, you finding out about Sheldon on YPO and the growth that he's had. How does it
Yeah.
feel to look at each other, see each other, and experience that together?
Wow.
Entrepreneurship journey is extremely lonely.
Mm.
When you're at the top, you cannot share the stress and anxiety and the feelings that you go, because you always have to motivate your team.
Mm.
You always have to be the high energy that needs to be contagious, that drive the force within your team. So when you succeed together and you're at top of that mountain, there is nothing that you can cherish more. There is no financial reward that you can gain that is more fulfilling than going through a journey together and seeing each other succeed together.
I agree with you 100% because that's exactly the most fulfilling part. And like Thomas says, like you go through this journey and all you do is give to your teammates, give to the people that surround you. So you're emptying yourself each and every day. And sometimes you need the person that actually comes along and say, you know what, you are actually doing quite well. You understand? I mean, do you remember where we come from? Do you remember the journey? Do you remember actually the hardships? And I feel that's exactly what we share in common, because if you look at Ozo, is actually founded 2014, and Legends was relaunched 2014 when we actually met at the Branson Center. That was a time when we actually, and this is 10 years later, 2024, we're standing here and just doing a reflection. It's miles beyond what we even imagined back then. Like if you asked us, will this be possible? I mean, like there would never be that idea, but just to have that maniacal focus that we've had over the years, and especially with Thomas. I mean, there's a saying that says iron sharpens iron, and whenever you're able to lean onto somebody, I'm always inspired by the type of conversations that we had, and just understanding that, you know, the journey that we've been through is just truly inspiring.
The Branson Center of Entrepreneurship is where this journey started. I want to go back to that time and pick on some memories from that period. So we've got something that I just want to put onto the screen. It's just gonna be a bit of a memory jogger. So let's get those up.
Wow.
What? What?
That's amazing, yeah?
What?
Whoa.
What?
Fresh cuts, huh?
Yeah, check that.
Beautiful.
What?
You know, not the worst part, but the incredible part is looking at that, it feels like it was yesterday.
Yeah, really. It does.
It make you
It
reflect
does.
on
It does.
how quickly it went by
How quick it
in
went
a blink
by.
of the eye. And I think, you know,
Yes.
what's very interesting is like the people that was basically in charge of the Branson Center came back to us and said that I believe we were the last class ever to have happened. Shared with us that we were the best class. But, you know, like for us, it's like we probably said that to everyone.
Yeah.
Yes.
What is very interesting is you often hear me say it with the teams that you are the average of the 5 closest people that you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
If you look at this class and you look at the average of people that we surrounded ourselves with, we're pretty much all at the same level. But we kept in contact. And many of us, the majority of this class, had literally had an incredible impact
Definitely.
on the South African market or international aspect. I remember Adrian, that was one of the designers that joined our class, became international designers that's now got office across the world, based in Singapore. Selling bags are retailing for 200,000 Rand up.
Wow.
You look at some of our other classmates that have built medtech companies. Like, it's incredible, the outcome. And ultimately, I think it's the average was the 5 people that we surrounded ourselves with that allowed us to elevate ourselves.
Yeah, I tend to agree so much because you're the people that you are constantly in contact with and running different business, you are able to relate to that person, and then it becomes much more of a spearhead towards the right direction. Because if, for example, Thomas is supporting my business and he's actually noticing things that I can actually elevate in my business, I give him and he gives me feedback on that. That takes me on a whole new curve, and exactly to the point as to each and every entrepreneur that was in that journey, you get to see it. And even our mentors, the people that was our teachers, for example, what's the name, Delisha, and the guys there. I mean, they've done such a phenomenal job in terms of just getting our mindsets to have that same type of mindset within the Branson Center. I would say that the one thing that one of the mentors told us back then is like, you know, build a relationship with one another, because what you take out of this class is not going to be as valuable as the relationships that you're going to take out. So rather have those relationships last longer than anything else.
When you cut Thomas's hair for the first time, did you write his story down in your little notebook for the next time?
No, I know him. So, so I don't have to remind myself about him. I don't have to, like in terms of his family. I mean, it becomes now much more easier for me to remember. So I don't need to write anything down. But it's always truly remarkable. I mean, we were chatting earlier, and we were showing the images of the kids that have grown, and now in university. His daughter is 14 years old. And what an amazing, if you think about it, back then they were just like babies. Yeah, they were babies. But now you look at them and they're like grown guys now. It's like the guy was like, he's taking over. He's traveling the world. And being able to see that makes such a huge impact, you understand, on where we are as entrepreneurs. Because if you think about it, while speaking to Thomas, I mean, he was telling about his dad and the the father figure that we had growing up. I know my dad also. We never had such a bond. I understand, and as entrepreneurs, we try to be so much more involved in our kids' life. We feel that it's such a necessity now more than ever, because now we see the need to actually build that bond with our kids. Like the one day I came to Thomas's house, and it felt like him and his son just had this unbreakable bond that you can't tear down. And it gives you, I think that gives you much more fulfillment than anything else that you have built along the journey, because your dependents are actually going to love and to see what you have built, but they're going to remember the memories.
I'm guessing ultimately experience, failure, success from our elders, from our fathers, from our peers. We talked about YPO earlier on, is that opportunity to be able to share knowledge and experience so that we don't have to replicate the mistake of the past. We don't have to replicate the mistakes of others. And ultimately, it's something that the past generation was deprived of. But if we look at digitization today, if we look at the constant optimization and improvement that has gone through from generation to generation, we learn to make sure that we don't replicate the mistakes of our past. And that's also something that I share with my kids all the time. It's like, there is this expectation that the next generation always have to be better than the prior, because the prior one did not have the exposures that we had. Think about the AI impact that our kids are going to have if they ever need to work.
Yes. So true. It's so
Mm.
true because if you look at what our kids are exposed to from a very young age, I mean, if you look
It's
at
insane.
our kids,
Yeah.
they they being 3, 4 years old, more cleverer than where we were at 10, 12 years old. They like miles ahead and can tell you certain things that you as an adult can't comprehend. So it's crazy.
That's what you've opened up for them through the successes that you guys have had. Thomas, thanks so much for popping in. I know you do have another meeting to jump onto now.
It was a pleasure being here.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much for you.
And we keep cheering you on the
Yeah.
sideline.
No, thank
The
you very
exciting
much.
part is like I might not see him for months, but it always kicks back from where it was.
Yeah.
It was
no,
good seeing
thank
you.
you.
And
Thank you
thanks
very
for the
much.
honor of being on Ozo on air.
No, thank you very much. And I just like to, lastly, while you are here, just to give you the flowers that you deserve because I think many people don't understand it, and especially for an entrepreneur, I would love to say that you inspire us all. You are your story, the experience that you have, the the journey that you've walked through. It's such an inspiration to me personally. I'm always looking at you and I'm like, you know what? I'm cheering for you because I know that your success is my success and I deeply value our relationship.
Thank you. It goes both ways, as you know.
Thank you.
But now I know we're running out of time, so I'll let you continue.
Sheldon,
Yes.
200 shops in the next 3 years, $1 billion in sales, a Legends Barber in every African country. That's the ambition.
Yes.
How are you going to make this a reality?
Yes. That's definitely ambition, and it ties back to what we are currently working on from not only from like I said previously, the impact, the culture, and all of these type of things that are there as the core. Our our main thing right now is to see how can we service our customer in a different way. You understand? So now we are moving now to implementing systems where the systems will be able to uh, exactly dictate to the customer as to when they should come back. Whereas you'll constantly get reminders on which products to use. So it becomes much more personalized. I think we can say AI has help with that, but that's exactly where we're going to. The number of stores that we are planning to grow towards could be more than that if we're looking at the projections. But yeah, I think if you told me last year, uh, I would tell you that my goal was to open more stores, more stores, more stores. But my goal this year is just to constantly improve, to constantly, if we can be 1-2% better than last year, 1-2% better than what we've serviced our customer before, then we've definitely made an impact.
What happens if you fall short of that target?
If I fall short of the 200 stores, I wouldn't be disappointed purely. I mean, there wouldn't be any like purely disappointed in not making the target. And I think although we put this pressure on ourselves as entrepreneurs, I would say I would rather have 100 stores doing X amount of turnover, which is healthy as possible, than to have 200 stores that 20% of them are only uh, making target and barely just healthy. So I would rather focus on quality than quantity and ensuring that we build a sustainable brand that's not going to live just to 2025, but beyond our lifetime.
So, at the beginning of your journey, you went into corporate. You could have stayed in corporate. You're doing pretty well. You could have grown within that environment. Every entrepreneur has something unique about themselves, something different that has made them deviate from that path, and something inherent within them that's made them go, I want to make a huge impact in the world. And something that's very clear about you is that you want to make an impact on the world. You want to leave the world a different place, a better place than when you found it. What is that something unique within you, and what's the impact that you want to make?
So the biggest impact I feel that I could make is being able to leave something with people that they can live onward for the rest of their lives. Like a skill, for example, if I know that barbering for me has empowered me to be in a position that I am, I'm willing to hand over the baton to the next generation of whoever wants to become barbers. That for me is the impact that I would love to leave, and being the voice to the voiceless, where barbers never had a voice within South Africa. If you look at the constitution, there was only hairdressers until today. You see the breakdown. Barbering has never been formalized like other countries like the UK, like the US, where you need actually license to perform a skill. We want to be that people that change the narrative in South Africa, and and I feel it is possible. It is possible to have that greater vision, because that for me is what I'm driving for. What I'm trying to create is that each and every barber can have the skill needed to be able to perform a haircut. And I know I'm being ambitious enough, but if you think of the things that we introduce in the tools that we create in the training centers that we have, I believe it's possible. And I believe that the impact can live beyond our generation.
Sheldon, you've created something through innovation in an industry that people might not think is the most innovative industry, as you described earlier, that isn't matched anywhere in South Africa, potentially anywhere in the world. You're driving it forward, 200 stores, 1 billion in sales, a barbershop in every African country, new brands on the horizon. It's only going to get better from here. Thank you very much for making the time to be on the Ozone Air
Thank you very
podcast,
much.
and all the best moving forward.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot for having me, and shout out to the team.